Today on Period 5, we're talking with Nathan, Youth Chairperson at Abana Community Outreach, ACO. He leads programs to help teens develop skills, take on leadership roles, and get involved in their communities. From organizing a sports activation event that had kids learning teamwork while having fun, to helping youth solve real problems in their day-to-day lives, his work shows how teenagers can make an impact right now. We'll talk about his journey, the challenges he's faced, and what it really takes to empower young people. And maybe pick up some tips for anyone listening who wants to make a difference too. Hey Nathan, how are you doing?
Hello, Pat, and hello to the viewers. I'm doing real well, and you?
I'm really great as well. So, first Nathan, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do with the ACO?
I am Kutlwano, Phumudi, aka Nathan. I'm a youth chairperson at ACO. Been running for a year and a half. So my role is all about creating safe and exciting spaces where young people can learn and express themselves and also build confidence. We work closely with the schools, volunteers, and community members to design programs that are not only educational but genuinely also fun and impactful. We run mentorship programs, after-school activities, sports activation, and youth leadership workshop, and also food drives. So our mission is to help young people and families and to be seen, supported, and also capable of shaping their own futures.
When did you first get involved, and what made you think, I want to lead youth programs here?
The funny thing is that I'm part of the founders. So my mentor one day approached me and said, I have this vision, and I know you would support this vision also as well. It was mainly centered about the works that I was doing in school, watching how a simple activity could shift my confidence, it really moved my mentor, So one day I realized that I wasn't just showing up, I actually cared deeply about creating these spaces. So that's when I knew that I wanted to lead and be part of ACO and shape experiences more intentionally.
Can you share a moment from one of your programs that made you stop and think, wow, this is why I do this?
So we were doing a food drive in Snake Park for kids during holidays as they're out and about enjoying their holidays as well. So we started this food drive that we would do in two locations, which is home based and also in another part of our community. So there was a young boy, he barely spoke in a few sessions. In part of our team building exercises, he actually stood up, led the group, and even cracked the joke. That was a really weird experience of him because we know him as a quiet person. Watching him step into himself like that, that's when I thought, yes, this is the work that I'm meant to be doing.
Can you share a bit more about the October sports activation event?
Okay, this was a PMI project that we had to do in school, but associated with organizations as well. So the fun experience that I had with the sports activation, it was the kids, they invented their own victory dance, every time they scored, even if it was by accident, by the end of the day, everyone, even the adults, were copying the dance. That showed a sign of unity and being able to enjoy this type of things, not minding where we are, what we are doing, it turned into its own mini competition, totally unplanned but unforgettable.
That sounds like so much fun. So working with teens and kids can be very unpredictable. So how do you get them motivated and excited to participate?
That is a hard task indeed for a youth-based organization, when you're running the type of program. But I always give them ownership. When a young person feels like they have a voice, whether it's choosing a game or leading a warm-up or sharing ideas or being involved into a conversation also as well, they show up differently, And of course, keeping the energy very high and celebrating the small wins goes a long way, as would limit or cut their short span and actually add this mentality of them being in an elongated span with the organization and with changes also as well.
What's one mistake you made early on that taught you a real, lasting leadership lesson?
I definitely tried to do everything by myself, even though I knew it was very difficult, because I had this thought that asking for help meant that I wasn't capable. But I quickly learned that teamwork builds stronger programs, and a stronger performance, also influencing strong leaders. Now collaboration is at the center of everything I do. Anything that I'm involved in, collaboration is always there.
So balancing school and running multiple initiatives must be really tough. So what's your secret to not burning out?
I don't know. It was a hard journey, but I'm someone who's very systematic. I run things by a certain system. I pre-plan and post-plan. I learn to prioritize each and everything equally. Not for it to seem like you're giving more time into this, you're giving less time to this. I prioritize the rest the same way as I prioritize my task and my schoolwork. I always plan ahead, which is pre-planning helps me very well. But even though I've planned something, a project or event that might not actually work and it might link up my schedule, we also implement the post-planning into my calendar. I delegate and I give myself permission to pause. We don't have to run every time. When you work with young people, they can only benefit from you if you're operating from a healthy pace. If they would have someone who operates at a low pace, they would actually feel demotivated, not enthusiastic as they were. Operating from a healthy pace is one of the prioritization that you should actually consider and put in your time schedules.
If a teen listening wanted to start a program in the community tomorrow, what's the very first, simplest step they should take?
Definitely they should start small and start where they are. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are doing, and where you are going. The journey, the main thing is the foundation, what you're really starting. If more time and more effort would be given into the foundation, it will actually mean greater and long success ahead. Pick one need you see, maybe a home support, a reading club, a sports practice, tech, people who are involved in those type of SDGs like infrastructure, peace and collaboration, and also greenery. And they must also gather 2 or 3 friends to help. You being solo won't actually fuel the way you want to fuel. If you want to start a program in your community, you need collaboration, as community is all about unity. So you being alone and solo doesn't even represent a piece of you being part of the union of the community. And also, consistency matters more than perfection. It doesn't matter if you got sponsors on time, you got this on time, the event was postponed, this was delayed, but the journey that you've been consistent in would actually play out and actually give you the best results at the end.
So you just mentioned the SDGs. So looking back, how important have the SDGs been in the ACO's work and its founding?
They are very important because they're actually the foundation of each and every project that you want to do in your life, and also each and every project, even in ACO. They're very important, as the part of founding a community development or any project that you want to start in your community, as SDG are the main highlighters of each and every problem that we would face internationally, globally, and domestically. So if you actually root yourself into making the SDGs your foundation, you actually know where you are going. You actually know the impact that you want to do. You actually know your target market, the people that you want to actually help or want the organization to affect them in a positive way. SDGs are very important also because they are guidelines of what you could do or what you could actually root in your organization, so that you can make sure you successfully touch the beneficiaries.
So before we wrap up, we're going to do a quick rapid fire round. Short questions, quick answers, and no overthinking. Just instinct. One word that describes your leadership style.
Fun.
Funniest thing a kid ever said during a program.
Do I even get time to sleep the way I'm so energetic and enthusiastic? They thought that I'm running on superpowers.
That's funny. If ACO was a person, what personality would it have?
It would have a bold personality, a strong person knowing its own goal.
One skill every teen leader needs to learn.
Teamwork.
Your biggest pet peeve when working with teens?
Delayed communication.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. What's one thing people assume about you that isn't true?
That I'm very mean. and they think I have this facade that is like very, very serious. It's okay for people to be serious, but I also have a lighter personality. If I actually meet you face by face, then I would start to smile. But when I'm working alone, I don't have any business to smile.
If you had a superpower for one day, what would you use it for?
I would use it to globalize ACO.
And lastly, if you could describe yourself in just 3 words, what would they be and why?
Consistent. I thrive. I believe that every problem has a solution, and I'm also hardworking. The reason I would say all of these is because I always thrive. I do believe that each and everything, whether a small opportunity or a big opportunity, you have to outdo your best. Just mark your name. I live by a quote that says, your name is already there. It's your choice if you remove it or you even put it more there. So I do believe that each and every effort that you would put into any situation should be your highest effort.
Well, that's such a great note to end with, Nathan. Thank you so much for joining us today. Your work at ACO shows that leadership isn't about titles, it's about action, learning from mistakes, and creating opportunities for others. For anyone listening, the takeaway is simple: start small, focus on people, and build from there. It was really great meeting you, Nathan, and I'll see you later.
Nice to meet you too, Puff. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.